First of all, thank you all so much for having me, and thank you to my mom, Cheryl, for getting me in here to share with you all something that is really the biggest movement in the world right now that not a lot of people know about, but it's happening. And so I'm really excited to have the privilege to understand this stuff and to be able to share it with you all in a way that maybe you can comprehend simply. So I want to start by introducing myself, but I want to talk about this tea that we have up here. Did anyone get the tea that's up here? Okay, awesome. So what did you think? No? You don't like it very much? It's kind of bland?
Yeah, no flavor.
Yeah, it's pretty bland, okay? And it's actually a mushroom. And the reason why I like it is it's because it's a mushroom that is pretty bland. And you can sweeten it with like agave or honey or something like that if you want to. But what's really special about it? So Chaga Mushroom is the father of all medicinal mushrooms in the entire world. Chaga Mushroom grows on the birch tree in like a chunk. It doesn't look like a normal mushroom. But what's really cool is that, and we're going to be talking a lot about nutrient density tonight. It is one of the most nutrient-dense mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms in the world. It has all 89 minerals that you need to fully hydrate every single day. It has vitamins A through K. So it kind of looks like this in chunks. So it doesn't look like a typical mushroom. So it extracts something from the birch tree called betulinic acid, which is anti-cancerous. And I brought some studies up here if you want to review it. There's some information on me up here as well. But I wanted you all to bring it to be able to enjoy the tea and learn a little bit how plant medicine is medicine. And we're going to talk about food as medicine, and we're going to talk about regenerative farming. Yes, sir?
Where do you get it?
So you can source it from me online at consciousagingsolutions.com. And at the end of this presentation, there'll be a contact slide with all of this information, and I will email it out to your officers and make sure everyone gets a copy so you know where to get it. It usually grows in Northern America, so you can't source it locally, and I'm a huge advocate for local, but this is not something you can get locally. So it's sourced in like Maine and Canada where it's colder, if that makes sense. So anyway, that's what's here tonight, just for your refreshment and to soothe your soul and give yourself some medicine. And it's just a really incredible source of medicine and really kind of like a multivitamin in a cup. So a little bit about me. Obviously, my name's Erin Martin. I'm a gerontologist. Does anyone know what a gerontologist is? Yes, some of you do. A lot of people don't, because there's not a lot of gerontologists. We have about 3 or 4 in Oklahoma, and there's not a lot here, actually. So gerontology is the study of aging. How I started my journey to that was I started working at a retirement community for 55 and older at Burgundy Place at 88th and Lewis when I was 15 years old. And I didn't know that this would be my trajectory at the time, but I fell deeply in love with the wisdom of older people. I loved that they were, and what I find to define now is that they're more an authentic people, because people have gone through life and just found themselves and just, over time have experienced different things, and I felt that older people were more authentic. And to me, that seemed like they were more happy being authentic. And I thought, why wouldn't younger people want to adopt that sooner? And I thought if we could do that and I could influence my peers and this love I found for older people, then we could really change a lot of things. I found that older people felt really overlooked and invisible to people. And I thought, wow, there's such a wealth of knowledge and incredible human beings with life experience. Why wouldn't you so call that up? It doesn't make sense to me. So that was when I was 15 till I was about 19. I worked at Burgundy Place. I was a dishwasher and a server in their kitchen and just fell in love with it and loved it. And it was the only thing I ever remembered being excited to go to work to do every single day. And I thought, well, that's rare in America. People work jobs they don't like to pay for things they don't like to impress people they don't like. And I thought, well, maybe I should get a job that I really love and that would benefit me. And so when I was looking for a master's program, I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and I traveled to a bunch of different schools, and there wasn't really anything that was like this niche. And so I was talking to my dad one day, and I said, Dad, I don't know what I want to do, blah, 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 blah. And he said, well, Erin, why don't you do gerontology? I said, Dad, that's not a degree. And of course, I Googled it. And on Google, on top was USC, #1 school of gerontology in the world. And at the time, I had moved out to LA to just get out of Oklahoma and experience some other things. And it was 10 miles from my apartment in LA. I went to USC. The gerontology school is the only freestanding school of gerontology in the entire world. A lot of social work schools have a gerontology focus, but this is the only freestanding school of gerontology in the world. And gerontologists are taught several different things. We are taught the physiological changes of aging, the psychological changes of aging, and the social and cultural impacts of aging. And we're taken through all the systems. So I'm trained by attorneys on how to navigate Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. I know every single level of care there is and how to navigate it. I understand the natural processes of aging and also the myths of aging. And that was really powerful for me. And at the same time, I was working in Section 8 housing for seniors, HUD housing, 62 and older housing. And I had 40 clients of my own, and then I managed 7 service coordinators, and we served 700 low-income seniors in Southern California. And I was seeing firsthand all of these things that were happening in the aging world. And what I was seeing was very, 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 very scary. And my clients were on anywhere between 20 and 32 prescription drugs at one time. And I looked at the prescription drugs they were taking. I looked at the food that they were getting access to. And I thought, this is really, really crazy to me. And so what really broadened my horizons was I went with USC. My final class was studying death and dying in Italy. And so I started seeing and understanding where people were aging the longest in the world. And so I'm talking about the blue zones. Does anyone know what the blue zones are? So that's where people age the longest in the entire world. And they die of something called old age. You know, I think in America we think we get a disease and then we die. And we think that's normal. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not. It's not normal. That dying of old age is normal on 0 prescription drugs. And we've got something wrong. And what's really cool is that in these areas, there's 6 blue zones in the world. There's actually one in Loma Linda, California, which is a heavy concentration of Seventh-day Adventist religion. And a part of their religion is very heavy vegetarian diet. Now, I'm not telling you that you can't eat meat or anything like that, but what I'm telling you is that people who age the longest in the world eat meat more rarely. So they eat meat about once a week or once a month. And the fruits and vegetables that they eat are local and seasonal. And we're going to go into why that's important to nutrient density. But then, so I went to Italy and I was seeing people age in a totally different way from all the people in HUD housing that I was serving. And my mind just started just going and going like, wow, this is really wild. Like what could I possibly do and focus on that would help with this? And what I found was that food was the really core issue of what all these blue zones had in common was the longevity diet, is what we can call it. And there is a book called The Longevity Diet by one of my professors at USC, and you can look that up if you're interested. Another reading I really love is Pharmacology with an F by Dr. Daphne Miller, which is really connecting growing, farming, nutrient density with health. And so the very last thing I did was I was connected with Kiss the Ground. Has anyone heard? I know a lot of people who are my guests know, but if anyone from the Irish Society knows of Kiss the Ground is heading the movement for regenerative farming. And so we're going to go into a lot of those details about what regenerative farming is. And so I went through an 8-week course with them. I studied different science that was new science, and so we're going to talk about some of that tonight. And what I realized was I couldn't advocate for older people. And here I'm connecting the bridge here right now. Okay, so I couldn't advocate for aging and for people aging successfully and living vibrantly if I didn't advocate for the soil. And so we're going to talk about why that is. Let's go to the next. And I love this slide. So Kiss the Ground lets us use a lot of their slides just to continue this movement, because it's a huge movement. People are called to this very spiritually, very connected spiritually to the land, to your irises maybe. So we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. So we've been doing farming and growing and gardening the same way for a really long time. So let's go to the next. And so this is a new view. This isn't saying like everything was wrong or that it was super bad. There were bad implications, but good intentions, of course. But now we have new science, and we know all this new information. And the ripple effect that this information has is mind-blowing and life-changing for individuals, for communities, and for the entire world right now. And it's pivotal that we do it now. So most farming that we do is degenerative farming. Does anyone know what that would mean? What does that mean?
Overusing the land, using it the same way, rebuilding it.
Right, exactly. So most farming that we do does this. And it's done this more and more and more and more over time, right? Let's go to the next. And what we've done is we've started to lose our topsoil because of the way we've been farming. And actually, we're losing 4 tons per acre per year in the entire world right now. That's a lot. And there's a reason why that is. And we're going to talk about why we're losing that soil, the topsoil, because we have no soil organic matter in the soil that gives it substance. So we're going to talk more about that too. So let's go to the next. So we don't want degeneration. And we talk a lot about sustainability. But why would we want to sustain what we're doing now if it's degenerative? We can't sustain, because if we sustain, we're going to be in a bad place, because we're in a bad place right now. So what we have to do is we have to regenerate. We have to go this way. Okay, let's go to the next. So there are 5, and we're going to talk super high level. We could go into the weeds with this. We could do a lot of that. I'm talking high level to give you some basic information, and then if you need supplemental information, always happy to provide any meat and bones to whatever you'd like. So there's 5 principles of regenerative agriculture that are really important to know. So let's go to the next. Thank you. So we have least disturbance. This means no tilling. How many farms do you know, like you just think tilling is just a normal, that's just what we do? That's what everyone thinks. Like if they have a farm, they're like, oh, I've got to till the land. This is saying, no, no, no. This is really, really bad. This is disturbing a lot of the natural process that is powerful, that's natural, that we need to have. And then we have living roots. So we're not disturbing the soil. We're not using chemicals in this process either, which is apparently a new thing. And so we've got soil armor, which is cover crops. So when we till the soil, we have that, as nice even lines between all the rows of the crops. Bad, really bad, because it's drying out the soil, which is causing us to lose all that topsoil, right? And then animal integration. This is a really important point because I identify as someone who's mostly plant-based. Some people would call me vegan, but I do have meat rarely. And so going into the Kiss the Ground Soil Advocacy Program, I thought we need to do away with meat. That's the problem. Well, actually, meat and animals are an extremely important part of regenerative agriculture. Because what do we need from the animals in the soil? Fertilizer, poop, yes. Microbes, right? Bacteria, good bacteria. And we know this about our guts. We know this, right? Okay. And then increased biodiversity, no more monocropping. So we have most of our farms are growing like GMO soy and corn and no fruits and vegetables. And there's no biodiversity because other plants and other species, we learn from each other, we grow from each other, just like human beings of different races and cultures and backgrounds. Same kind of thing. So it's really beneficial. And so these 5 things have been proven to not only prevent this soil depreciation, but to build soil organic matter, which makes it more tough, and kind of porous actually, and it can hold more water. So the ground hydrates more, and because of the way this works, it carbon captures from the carbon that's too much in the air right now into the soil just from doing this. And then it also creates more nutrient-dense plants and fruits and vegetables. Let's go to the next. Oh, go back. Very good. And I want to watch the time too. Where am I at?
7:23.
Okay. So, this is where we're at right now. This is what makes up our soil. We've gotten down to 1% organic matter. This is all of the microbes, the good bacteria. This is all the nutrition, okay? This is where we should be, 10%. See how this changes? This is carbon-rich, incredible soil. That's not only helping the environment, it's cooling everything, and it's growing incredible crops for people and improving health of people. Okay, let's go to the next. Okay, so this is all connected. You know, you hear like in nature, all things are connected. And it's so very, very true. And this is just one of examples of how that is. But so the really important thing to know about this cycle is that plants cannot read soil nutrients, okay? Plants cannot read soil nutrients. They need a translator, a microbe, a bacteria, and something very specific called mycorrhizal fungi. With the chemicals that we've been using, we've been killing all of it. So if you go back one slide, Mom, we've been killing it. We've been killing it. Okay, go back. So the plants can't read the soil nutrients if there is any left, which means you have depleted plants, which you have depleted animals, and you have sick humans who are aging very, very poorly. Let's go to the next. And just hit one more time, Mom. And one more time. Perfect. Just like the soil is affected by the environment, food, and chemicals, so are humans in every single way. As below, what's the saying? As above, so below. And this is very true. With the soil and our human health. It's very, very connected. So now you can see, if I really, really love wise elders, this is why I care about this. Because I want my wise elders around, I want them recognized, I want them appreciated, and I need their wisdom. That's what we need as younger people. Because we have a lot of this fire and energy, but we need to be advised. So let's go to the next. So, there's 80 billion tons of chemicals being sprayed on our earth every single year. 80 billion tons. And about 75 to 80% of that is in the United States. And we have the people who are on the most prescription drugs. And because our food is depleted and we don't have any nutrients, right, in the food we're eating or that we have access to, we take something called vitamins. I'm sure a lot of people take vitamins, but we won't call you out. So when it's artificially made, a vitamin is artificially made. It's extracted and it's made in a lab, and it does not have the organic matter for your body to read it. And so we have found that we are getting 20,000 hospital visits a year of older adults overdosing on vitamins because your body cannot read it. It does not have the organic software to read it, if there's any computer people in here. It has to have the organic fiber, the nutrients, all of that for your body to read the chemical constituents or what we would produce in vitamins, if that makes sense. So if you're looking for a good vitamin, find one that's plant-based, food-derived. You can look and read the label and it'll tell you. So this is concerning. I'm painting a dark picture, but also showing you that this is the cure for this, and people are doing this all over the world, so it's really exciting. Go to the next. So this is to give you a little bit more of an idea of how horribly depleted our food is over time. This is a study that was done between 1940 and 1991. They did a lot of different kinds of meat and vegetables. And you can see here in 51 years, copper declined by 76%, calcium by 46%, iron by 27%, magnesium by 24, and potassium by 16. And we have that's 91 was, for some people a lifetime ago. So, and so this is what we're facing. And even our meat, right? Our meat is incredibly depleted. But what's really cool about this, so for example, when your grandparents were kiddos, they could eat an orange and it would have a certain amount of vitamin A and vitamin C in it, right? You ate this one orange, you get, on average, a certain amount of vitamin A and vitamin C. Well, today, because of this depletion, we have to eat 6 to 8 oranges to get that same amount. So that gives you an idea of why people are starting to juice and trying to get their nutrients, right? But what's really cool about this, regenerative farming and this new science, preserving that good microbes to translate all the nutrients, what's really exciting is we have the ability to build more nutrient-dense food than your grandparents had. And we've got people in this room producing that stuff now, and we are going to work on testing it. So that's really exciting coming. That's something we're working on. Let's go to the next slide. And your body is smart, and your tongue knows the difference. It can taste whether it's got nutrients in it or not. So a lot of people say, I don't like vegetables. They're gross. Ew. Guess what? You've never really had one. You haven't really had one until you've gone to Rachel's garden in Resilient Farms behind Grog's Green Barn, or you've gone to Earl Stripling's community garden and you actually pick it and eat it and you go, I've never tasted a string bean like this, ever. Never have. Never have. Okay, let's go to the next. So, what's really exciting is we're creating healthy, abundant food, a lot of nutrient content, and the way we do this with the cover crops and all of the ways we do it is disease and pest resistant as well. So that is really exciting because I know that's the concern and why we use chemicals and why we wanted to, because we needed to grow and make money and do what we needed to do. But now we know, when we know better, we do better, right? Okay, let's go to the next. So I did want to take a little bit of time and talk about the Fresh RX program because I think it's really exciting and you all should know about it. And my mission is to really create this as an ongoing, continual, permanent part of our healthcare structure. So Fresh RX is a doctor prescribing fruits and vegetables for type 2 diabetes, specifically in this case. So I partnered with a doctor of Crossover Health Services at 36th Street North in Peoria. The most people we have that are dying from diabetes are in 3 zip codes in North Tulsa. Diabetes is an overwhelming thing that we're facing here especially in Oklahoma. We have several 100,000 people here in Oklahoma that have diabetes, and we have 1 million people with pre-diabetes. So this program is actually designed for people with uncontrolled type 2 diabetes, which means their A1C is over 8, like Jim said, and they are at risk at an uncontrolled rate. They're at risk of a stroke, having kidney failure. They're at risk for a lot of different issues, losing a limb, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's been many, many Fresh RX studies done all over the nation. One was done in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, and it's called Fresh Food Pharmacy there, and it's one that we really built this program off of. And they found that they could reduce someone's A1C level with using nutrient-dense food. They could reduce it 1% to 2% within the year. And they equated that it would save in healthcare cost savings from $16,000 to $24,000 per year per person. And it only really costs $3,000 a year to feed them. So, I mean, if you're a numbers person, $3,000 versus like 18 to 24. I think that's really good. And with not just fruits and vegetables though, it's also, yes, we don't have access to this stuff, but then once you get it, what do you do with it? That's the big issue. So with this program, Zero Foundation gave us $15,000 to get iPads for everyone. Because of COVID and transportation barriers, we've pre-recorded cooking classes and nutrition classes to be pre-downloaded onto the iPads, which means Wi-Fi does not have to be a barrier. And so they'll have cooking classes, nutrition classes, and they get free food for an entire year, every 2 weeks in North Tulsa, which is really beautiful. But what we want to do is we really want to expand this program. We want everyone on board. This is a community effort. This is a community revolution. We're reshaping how we're thinking about this. We have new science. We have a new understanding. And so we need everyone on board. So Rachel and Earl are both producers for this program. We have other local producers. And why it's so important that it's local. So for example, the reason is spinach. We'll just take spinach for an example. Within 24 hours, when spinach is harvested or picked, it loses 90% of its nutrients. So if it's if it's nutrient dense and grown great, that's great. But if it's shipped from Mexico, by the time you get it at the store, how much nutrients, so it's already depleted. We already showed all that, okay? But even if it was grown regeneratively and it wasn't local, you still have a problem. So that's why FreshRx is sourcing local, organic, regenerative, and nutrient-dense food so that hopefully we can reduce their A1C quite a bit. And then there's also the barrier of getting people to cook and eat it, so there's that too. So it's an uphill battle, but it's worthwhile. We raised $180,000 in the last 6 months to feed 50 people for free. And I'm just really honored to be able to administrate the program and work with the funders, the farmers. So it's not only helping people's health, but this is creating a food sovereign community. So we saw that there was an issue with COVID. We saw this strain on our food system. We saw strains on every system, to be honest about that. But we saw that this was a major issue. And so if we can really, really support farmers markets, really go subscribe to CSAs that are local and support these local farmers, these smaller farmers, that's really one of the biggest activism roles that you can play, and also gardening your own self and growing your own fruits and vegetables. You can really change your life, your community's life, and you can change the world. So humanity can live regeneratively. We have a lot of limitations on health and aging, and so we can really break the barriers together. If you go to the next. So I want to plug a statewide mission for this. It's called Regenerate Oklahoma, Healthy Soil for Healthy Humans. We're working on this at a statewide basis to really create a movement and education statewide for this. We have a lot of different things we're working on, but can't share everything. But if you're interested in hearing about our statewide missions, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Regenerate Oklahoma. And Nicole, if you just wave, Nicole is executive director for this, and she's incredible, and she's built a board, and we're working on some awesome stuff. So that's a way to get a hold of us with Regenerate Oklahoma, so statewide, and then locally with FreshRx. If you go to the next, this is all our contact information, and like I said, I'm going to send this out to everyone. So Earl Stripling's phone number, my cell phone number, this is my website, this is a link to the FreshRx page. This is a Facebook page for me, and then Instagram, which is FreshRx, and then that's also me, Expert on Aging. So if you're on social media, if not, you can certainly go to my website and get a lot of more information. And if you want additional information that you don't find on the website, feel free to email me. My card is up here. My cell phone number obviously is there and on the card. If you haven't tried Chaga Mushroom tea, you want to get some, come get some. And I did bring some, they're for sale, but you, of course, no pressure on that. You can always go on the website later if you want to buy some. But does anyone have any other questions? Yes, sir.
FreshRx, have they studied with the Indians, being that's a high rate of diabetes?
Not currently, but I would like to work more with Native American populations. So I would love for them to have their own programs that we can help kind of administrate, and that would be really great. So if you have relationships, it'd be great to really educate people on what this program is. We work with Joe Deere, who's the district counselor for Cherokee Nation, and he has some interest, so hopefully we'll get somewhere with that. But very good point. Very high rates of diabetes. Any other questions? Well, thank you all. Thank you so much.